If you drive a manual, you know that feeling? That cold dread, the light turns green, you go to move, and nothing. Just a violent shudder, a horrible groan, and then silence.
Oh, yeah. The stall.
You've stalled, and the car behind you is already on their horn. Or maybe you're on a hill, rolling back, just desperately trying to find that little bite point.
That whole experience, that gut check moment, it all comes down to one thing, one very misunderstood part, the clutch.
It really is, and that's what we're doing in this deep dive. We're building a masterclass for you, a shortcut to really mastering clutch control. We want to move you from just knowing how to change gears to really understanding the why.
Exactly, because the mechanical understanding is the key. The clutch is probably the most, I'd say, mistreated part of a manual car.
Why do you think that is?
Well, its function is sort of counterintuitive. In really simple terms, it's a friction device. Its whole job is to connect and disconnect the engine's power from the transmission. That's what lets you change gears or critically stop the car without killing the engine.
So let's visualize that connection because we're
Yeah.
talking about a lot of energy coming from the engine.
A huge amount.
And it's not just one single part doing all the work, right? It's more like a coordinated stack of pieces.
It's a stack. That's a perfect way to put it. And it starts right at the engine with the flywheel. It's connected directly to the crankshaft. Think of it as just a big, heavy, spinning metal wheel.
And its weight is what keeps the engine spinning smoothly.
Precisely. That inertia is key.
Okay, so the flywheel is always spinning if the engine is on. What's the next layer in the stack?
Next up is the star of the show, the clutch disc. Or you might hear it called the clutch plate. This is the friction material itself. It's a lot like a brake pad, you know. It's designed to grab.
To grab onto that big spinning flywheel, but what holds it there?
That's the job of the pressure plate. This is a heavy, spring-loaded cover, and when your foot is off the pedal, when the clutch is engaged, that plate is clamping the clutch disc tight against the flywheel.
So it's squeezing them together.
It's like squeezing two pieces of sandpaper together, yeah.
Yeah.
They lock, they rotate as one unit, and all that engine power flows down to the wheels.
So my left foot's only job is to break that grip, to just tell the pressure plate to back off for a second.
You got it. And that happens with the last two pieces. When you press the pedal, you're moving the clutch fork, which is just a lever. That fork pushes on the release bearing.
The throwout bearing.
Also called the throwout bearing, yes. And that bearing pushes on the pressure plate, which lifts it away from the clutch disc.
Uh-huh. It's a temporary divorce between the engine and the gearbox. So pedal down, clutch is disengaged, the disc is just floating in there, and I can shift.
Yep. And foot fully off, the pressure plate is clamped tight, clutch is fully engaged. That's the whole mechanical dance.
And just to be clear, we're talking about a traditional clutch pedal here. This isn't what's happening in, say, an automatic.
Right, totally different world. Automatics use a torque converter, a fluid coupling, or, in a lot of modern sports cars, you have a dual clutch transmission, a DCT, which is basically two computer-controlled clutches working together. But that's a whole other deep dive.
Okay, so for us manual drivers, the physics is simple. Friction is good, but too much friction, too much heat, that leads to failure. So let's move into part 2 and turn this knowledge into practical skills.
This is where we save you a lot of money and headaches.
Let's start with the launch. Smooth engagement. That moment you're pulling away from a stop.
The coordination there is everything. That slow, gradual release of the clutch while you're simultaneously adding a little bit of gas, that's the whole game. It's the difference between a smooth pull away and that awful jerking.
But let's talk about the number one clutch killer. The one bad habit that the sources say costs drivers the most money, and that is riding the clutch.
This is so critical. Do not rest your foot on the clutch pedal while you're driving. I mean, under any circumstances.
Even just the weight of your foot is enough to cause a problem.
Oh, absolutely. Even that tiny bit of pressure causes the clutch disc to partially disengage and rub against the flywheel. You're creating constant, unnecessary friction and heat, and you're just cooking that friction material.
And the sources point out 2 times this happens. One is obvious, just cruising down the highway, but the other is holding the car at the bite point for a long time, like at a long red light.
That is lethal for the clutch, and for 2 reasons. First, yes, you're incinerating the disc, but the second thing, and people forget this, is the damage to the release bearing.
The little bearing that does the pushing.
Exactly. It's only designed to work for the few seconds it takes to change gear. If you hold the clutch halfway down for 30 seconds in traffic, you are putting immense constant pressure and friction on that little bearing. Wasn't built for that.
And that's where the cost comes in. I mean, replacing a clutch disc and a release bearing, that's not cheap, is it?
No. You're talking about dropping the entire transmission to get to it. You're easily looking at over $1,000 in labor and parts, depending on the car.
So the takeaway is just shift to neutral.
Just put it in neutral, rest your foot on the floor, save the disc, save the bearing, and save your money. It's that simple.
Okay, so that covers starts and stops. What about shifting while we're moving? What's the ideal time to shift?
You want to shift at the right RPM, too early, and you bog the engine down. Too late, and you're just revving it for no reason. For a normal gasoline engine, you're looking at somewhere between, say, 2,000 and 3,000 RPM.
And for a diesel?
A little lower, usually between 1,500 and 2,500 RPM. They have more torque down low.
Okay, and what about downshifting? You're coming into a corner, you need a lower gear. That's where rev matching comes in.
Rev matching is your best friend for smoothness. So when you downshift, you give the throttle a quick press, a little blip, before you let the clutch out in the lower gear.
And what does that blip actually do?
It brings the engine speed up to match the speed of the gear you're about to engage. If you don't do it, the wheels basically have to force the engine to speed up when you release the clutch, and that's what causes that big lurch, that jolt. It's really hard on the whole drivetrain.
Right, it takes the shock out of the system, which brings us back to that other dreaded scenario, the hill start. How do we do that perfectly without rolling back or just slipping the clutch like crazy?
The secret is the handbrake. Don't try to do that balancing act with your feet on a steep hill.
So you hold the car with the handbrake.
Exactly. Hold it with the handbrake. Then you can gently bring the clutch to the bite point while adding some gas. You'll hear the engine note change. You'll feel the car want to pull.
And at that exact moment,
At the precise moment, you smoothly release the handbrake. The car moves forward. You haven't rolled back. And you've barely slipped the clutch at all. No stress, no overheating.
Okay, so even with perfect technique, things eventually wear out. Let's pivot to part 3, troubleshooting. How do you know when your clutch is starting to go?
Well, a clutch can last a long, long time if you treat it well. 50, 60, even 100,000 miles. But yeah, if you're riding it towing heavy loads, that lifespan drops fast.
Right.
And when it fails, it usually happens in one of two ways. It either starts slipping or it starts dragging.
Let's start with clutch slipping. What does that feel like?
Slipping means the clutch disc is worn out. It can't grip the flywheel properly anymore. So the really counterintuitive sign is your engine will rev up, but the car won't accelerate to match.
So the RPMs shoot up, but your speed barely changes.
Exactly. You'll really notice it going up a hill. You'll push the gas, the engine will scream, but you're just not getting the power to the wheels.
And there's a smell, right?
Oh, yeah. The smell. It's like burnt toast, a really acrid burning smell. That's the friction material literally being incinerated.
I remember smelling that once and realizing my foot wasn't fully off the pedal. It's unmistakable.
It is. And if you smell that or feel that slip, you need to get it checked out immediately. You're running on borrowed time.
Okay, so the opposite of slipping is clutch drag. If slipping is a failure to engage, drag is a failure to fully disengage.
Right. And clutch drag is what causes that awful grinding sound when you try to shift gears.
Because the disc is still spinning a little bit, even with the pedal to the floor.
Exactly. It's still making some contact, so the transmission internals are still moving, and the gears can't mesh properly. You'll feel stiffness, resistance. It's especially bad trying to get into first gear or reverse from a stop.
So that grinding sound is the transmission synchronizers, the synchromesh just getting destroyed.
It's them working overtime and failing, yeah. And the car might even try to creep forward a tiny bit, even with the clutch pressed all the way in.
So what if the absolute worst happens? You're driving and the clutch just goes, the pedal goes to the floor, or the cable snaps.
Well,
What do you do?
This is a last resort, get off the road technique. If you're stopped, you have to turn the engine off.
Engine off first.
Engine off. Put the gear selector into first gear. Then turn the key to start the engine. The car's going to lurch and hop forward as the starter motor forces it to move.
That sounds violent.
It is, but it'll get you rolling. And once you're moving, you have to shift without the clutch, which is called fluting the gears.
And how on earth do you do that?
It takes incredible timing. To shift up from first to second, you accelerate a bit, then you pull the lever into neutral,
Without the clutch.
no clutch.
Yeah.
Then you wait just a moment and apply gentle pressure towards second gear. Just light pressure.
And you're waiting for what?
You're waiting for the engine RPMs to fall to the exact right speed for second gear. And when they match perfectly, the lever will just slide right in. No force, no grinding. It's all about matching the speeds.
That is some serious mechanical finesse, which actually leads us perfectly into our last section, part 4, an advanced skill that every manual driver should aspire to learn, double clutching.
Ah, yes. Here's where it gets really interesting. Double clutching is a technique you use when downshifting. And unlike simple rev matching, it takes all the strain off the transmission's synchronizers.
We just mentioned the synchromesh. Those are the internal parts that match the gear speed so they slide together nicely. You're saying double clutching does their job for them.
Exactly. It makes the synchros almost irrelevant in that moment. You're saving them from doing any work at all. Now, it's not strictly necessary in modern cars. They have great synchros. But it is the peak of driving control and component longevity.
Okay, so walk us through it. It's a 7-step sequence, and it has to happen fast.
It does. So imagine you're in fourth gear and you want to go to third.
Okay.
Step 1, clutch in, pull the lever out of fourth and into neutral.
Step 2, now clutch out while you're still in neutral.
Right. This is the key part. Now the engine is reconnected to the transmission's input shaft. Step 3, you blip the throttle. A quick, sharp press of the gas to raise the engine RPMs.
Okay, so clutch in, neutral, clutch out, blip. What's next?
Step 4, clutch in again.
A second time.
A second time. Step 5, now you shift from neutral into third gear.
And step 6 is release the clutch smoothly.
And that's it. It sounds complicated, but that blip in neutral with the clutch out perfectly matched the engine speed to what it needed to be for third gear. So the shift is buttery smooth. No stress on anything.
Wow. What an incredible amount of knowledge we've covered. I mean, from the stress of stalling all the way to the intricacies of gear synchronization.
Yeah.
We've talked about the 5 key parts, why riding the clutch is so terrible for your release bearing.
And we've given you the warning signs to look for, slipping and dragging, so you can catch a problem before it leaves you stranded.
And armed you with skills like rev matching and double clutching that will not only make you a smoother driver, but will literally make your car last longer.
It's all about being in sync with the machine.
It is. And, you know, we talked about double clutching as this way to perfectly match speed and reduce wear when you're downshifting. But there's an ultimate extension of all this. It combines precise footwork, rev matching, and component care all into one single motion.
Ah, now you're getting into the real high-performance stuff.
The ultimate coordination challenge, the heel and toe technique. It's a method where you're braking hard into a corner, but at the same time, you're using the side of your right foot, your heel or the ball of your foot, to blip the throttle while your toes are still on the brake pedal.
So you're braking, downshifting, and rev matching all at the same time with just 2 feet. It's the pinnacle of car control, setting the car up perfectly for the corner exit. And that level of finesse, that's a whole new world of driving mastery built entirely on the foundations we explored today.
Please like, subscribe, and get notified.